we could fly.
Hi, I'm Patrick McKenna from MINIverse, and I am thrilled to be here today with a very special guest, a member of the John Cooper Works race team, Christian Perocarpi. He's a brilliant young man on and off the track, and he's partnered with MINIverse to help launch the MINIverse. The MINIverse is the first foray into the metaverse of any car company out there, and it recently debuted at Cannes in the south of France. And later on, we're going to get to actually showing you that, and Christian's going to help us navigate. But before we get there, let's meet and greet with Christian and hear a little bit more about him. So Christian, how are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good.
I remember meeting you not that long ago at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway Museum. And it was just when you were starting to get your kind of on-track time. It's amazing to me that you didn't follow the normal course of getting to the racetrack, which was typically go-karting. You actually spent a lot of time learning your craft from virtual racing, online racing. Tell us more about that.
So I didn't have the typical funding of a lot of these guys that are out there racing. So the next best thing was to get on racing video games, your normal console game on the Xbox or PlayStation. And from there, I went to more serious sim racing. And really the last couple of years, the last 5 or 6 years, I've just been doing that.
You referenced sim racing. So you started kind of on this, let's say this kind of typical, Forza, Gran Turismo stuff. And then, but sim racing is even a higher level, right? So talk a little bit about like how you got into a higher level of, let's say, online racing. And then how did that transition to actual track time, and like, how did that train you to then when you were on the track, like knowing the course layout, things like that?
Usually, if you're going from console to sim racing, that's when you go from controller to a sim racing wheel and pedals. And I just moved up. And would you go to like sim racing is pretty realistic, thought wise, I would say, of your next move and conserving tires. I think it really helps out once you go to a real race car is that you already have the thoughts of how am I going to make the move on this guy? How am I going to conserve my tires? When can I pit strategy, all of that is the same as real racing. So when I was on iRacing, I had to think about all that. So when I got into the car, it was just second nature. It's not like I had to program myself to think, oh, how am I going to do this? When you go through sim racing, you already have the knowledge that you would need to use in a real race car, which really helps out. And I think that was extremely beneficial for me when I went to Sebring.
Interesting. And so racing was always the goal, right? So it's not a matter of you had an aptitude for, online racing versus like other online games, because you went into it thinking like, if I can't be in expensive go-karts, what's the next best thing I can be in? And I think what you just said about the sim racing is really fascinating, like conserving tires, pit strategy, how to make, the moves on an opponent on the racetrack. Like that's just something that didn't exist 10 years ago. That's what I'm so fascinated in. It's amazing when you see, professional race car drivers like yourself and at higher levels, really looking at these games to really understand and learn track layouts for tracks they've never even been to. Can you tell me a little bit more about racecraft? I know that was something that you said you learned from. What did you learn from racecraft?
So when I was doing sim racing, I was entering these bigger events. So iRacing has the realistic Daytona 24 hours, Sebring 12 hours, Daytona 500, Indy 500. So I would do all those bucket list races on iRacing, and that really teaches you racecraft, because those races are long, a lot of laps. You are your own pit strategist. You don't have a wall of engineers like you do at the racetrack. So you had to learn how to, okay, let me conserve tires here. So at the end or near the pit window, I can push a little bit harder so I can gain positions on these guys. So I think definitely just kind of being on my own on the sim racing side, having to think about all that stuff on your own really helped out once I got in the race car. I have a little bit more help on that side, but I definitely still have to think just like I would in the simulator. Okay, let me save tires here. Let me let these guys go and follow them around for a couple laps, and then I can pounce right at the end and make the moves.
So I've heard that Putnam Park is your favorite track. Is that a true statement?
One of my favorites now that I've raced a couple. I think VIR right now is my favorite, but Putnam will probably be my all-time favorite forever. It's an hour away from my house, and the people there are very good to us and very good to me. It's a smaller track. It's a little bit bigger than Lime Rock Park, but it has sweeping corners, hard braking zones, a little bit of elevation change, but a lot of these corners are a lot harder than you would think. So it gives you a good challenge, and it kind of replicates a lot of tracks all in one track. And so it's good to go there and learn. And that was actually one of the first places I had ever tested a race car at, was actually Putnam Park.
Awesome. We've got a few questions directly from the Mini community. The first one is, what is your favorite thing about how a Mini performs on a racetrack? Like, what is, and I know you have experience in a Mini street car, and I think an F55, a 4-door hardtop, but tell us about, like, what do you love about a Mini on a racetrack?
It's quick everywhere, quick in speed, quick in steering, good on the brakes. I've raced go-karts before. It does really drive like a go-kart. It does what you tell it to do, and it does it really well. And that's the nice part. I don't have to fight the car to do it what I want it to do, which a lot of people struggle with. And the Mini just does it. And it's I think that's really has helped with our success. The chassis is so good that, and the brakes are so good, and everything about the car is so good. I think that's really helped out the cars. I think the best part is being able to carry as much speed as I can through the corners, and the Mini really likes corners like that. So I guess that's probably the best part about the car.
Yeah, I think historically, what I always say, and this is from a non-race car driver perspective, but going all the way back to the 1960s, it seems like the Mini always has the advantage with speed through the corners. Like if you go even back to like 1964 Monte Carlo, Mini would fall behind on the straightaways against the larger cars, the bigger horsepower cars, but Mini then would dominate in the corners and kind of sneak around. All right, one more question from the Mini community, which is a tough one. How do I become a race car driver?
I think definitely if you're a Mini owner, just go look up your local autocross events or track days, and that's where a lot of these guys get their starts. Autocrossing is good because you can drive your car there, and it's not bad on gas or tires or brakes. And the Mini is amazing. A lot of Minis succeed in autocross or around the country and around the world. And definitely, if you want to step up from autocross, you would go do track days. There's a lot of good SCCA track days, Chin track days. If you just look it up, I think there's a good website out there that really lists off all the track days in your area or even across the country. So you're able to even race at the same tracks the team's able to race at: Road America, Road Atlanta, Lime Rock, Putnam Park. There's a lot of places out there. So if you just do your research, autocross and track days are probably the #1 way to get on track in your Mini, and eventually maybe even move up to being a race car driver.
And I'll go a step further. Not only can people check that out, but there's also something called a contingency program, which is if you enter one of those races in a Mini and you get in a podium position, you can actually get some money from Mini USA. So that's another incentive if you want to go racing and you go to an SCCA race. So you can learn more about that. Just Google Mini Contingency Racing Program and you'll find all the details. So we've covered everything with, let's say, the real racing world. Now I'd love to transition into the MINIverse, which was, this virtual reality experience that Mini created. What do you think of that world and about the MINIverse?
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I've got to play it a couple times, and I think it really helps out. You get to wear a race suit, you get to wear the same suits that we wear and the same helmets, and you get to pick your own color of the Mini that you want. And it's fun to race friends. I had a lot of fun doing it. And you really feel like you're in there. I was really surprised that once you get in the virtual world, definitely the MINIverse, you feel like you're there. There's fun things to do. You can just chat with friends or go race or put obstacles on track to hinder your friends. So I think it's good fun with friends.
Yeah, you can, as a spectator, you can kind of push a button and knock a race car off the track. It's like one of the things that was kind of engineered into it just to keep it fun. In the virtual headset that you wear, you're not really holding a steering wheel. You're not really holding a controller. How does that compare?
It's just as hard as being on a real racetrack or even the virtual world, and that's what makes it fun. I like that you have to have some skill. It's not really given to you, so you really shows who's the most skilled out of all of your friends. And definitely putting on the headset and going from no steering wheel and some controllers, you do actually feel like you're driving the car because you have to make the steering wheel motion and you have to steer the car around the track, and you definitely get that feel of, oh, I'm driving this car.
So how did you, with you have the credentials to be a great race car driver. How did you do in the MINIverse? Did you smoke the competition? Did you does anyone have a chance against you in the MINIverse?
The first couple times I did not smoke the competition, but once I got used to it, I definitely was a contender. I think anybody, actually, if you have the skill or the passion, you could probably beat me in it.
Well, with that, that's a perfect segue. Let's take a look and see how you stacked up against the actual creators of the MINIverse.
Wow, this is amazing.
Hey, Christian.
Hey, guys.
Welcome to the MINIverse.
Here you can choose any of the 4 authentic Mini Cooper colors for your car.
That's awesome.
Looking good.
Yeah, that's looking great.
And here's the steering wheel. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab it and just hold it straight up and down like this. Now to go, think of it like a gas pedal. We're going to tilt forward and then you just steer like a regular car. So let's try it out. Yeah, all right, what do you think? How do you feel?
Yeah, that's awesome. I think I'm ready to race.
Okay, come on over.
So no.
All right, careful that first corner. It'll get you.
Just like in a real race.
Yep, that's right. Don't oversteer. Ah.
Oh, God.
All right, into the loop. Here we go.
Crash into the loop. Who's going to take the lead? No.
Oh. Woo, buddy, that was a good race. Oh, my God.
That was a close one.
You want to hit it again?
Yeah.
Oh, what are you doing to me? Merc.
Gotcha.
I'm in the lead.
I'm going to catch up to you here. Oh, no. I got mired in the grass over there. Just because you can drive great in real life doesn't mean you can drive good here, buddy. I'm coming around. Oh!
Oh!
Oh, man. Good race.
Good race.
Woo! Yeah.
Yeah, let's go. That was awesome.
All right. Look at this trophy here.
Wow, that was a really hard race, but as you can see, I'm the first on the leaderboard here. And let's see if you guys can come into the MINIverse and challenge me, and let's have some fun.
Whoa, that was a nail biter. It's so cool that the MINIverse exists. I'm blown away every time I see it, and I'm proud that Mini is the first car company in the metaverse with our own special place, the MINIverse. Well, Christian, it's been a blast having you here, and thanks so much for letting me ask you so many questions about the real racing world and the virtual racing world. Great for you to spend time with us this afternoon.
Yeah, thank you for having me. And if you guys want to become a race car driver, maybe you guys can do your homework and challenge me in the MINIverse.
Awesome. And thanks to everyone who tuned in all the way through. Don't forget to load up the MINIverse, get your virtual goggles on in Meta Horizon World, where you just might run into Christian sometime. And also come see Christian and the JCW LAP Motorsports team at a racetrack near you. So again, thanks for tuning in.
We could fly.